Hello scrappy friends, my name is Natalie Koenig and this is my YouTube Nat Scraps. Today we're doing our 5th card in the National Stamping Month series, or as I like to call it, Stamp-tember. I hope you like this one. It's got a cute little dragonfly on and I hope you'll stick around to see what it looks like at the end. The set that we're using today is Dragonfly Wishes stamp set, which is just up on the screen. It comes with all those stamps and dies, being the blue ones that you can see there, and we're going to get stuck right in stamping one of our sentiments. The sentiment I'm stamping is wishing you a day that is as wonderful as you are, and it is from the Sending Love and Laughter set that you can see there on the right. That is also one of the sets from National Scrapbooking Week. All of these sets are in the description below and they all have links to on the web page. Today I've actually used 3 different bundles, but you can get these items individually or in the bundles. I stamped that sentiment on vellum and popped it up above me working area there so that it can dry off a little bit. I'm now popping some post-it notes on the back of this card front. The technique today that I would like to use is a tone-on-tone technique. So I'm going to do a watercolor background with this blue oxide ink and then do some stenciling in the same color over the top. I've just smooshed a little bit of that blue onto my work surface, sprayed a little bit of water and then ran the card front through that. Now I'm not trying to look for a perfect smoosh here. I'm just trying to get color all over the front. Now I went to all the effort of trying to keep the back of this card front clean, but with that water technique, a little bit of water and it just kind of went everywhere. So I am going to end up cutting the card front off this piece of off the card and reusing just that piece of cardstock. So here I'm trimming it. I'm going to give this a little bit of a dry with the heat gun before I move on to the stenciling and make sure that it's all nice and dry and ready for the next layer. Now I'm going to bring in the stencil that goes with the Circus Lattice thin cut. It's hard to see with this particular stencil, but it just fits the size of the card front, and it has those, you can see as I'm adding that color, it has those little ellipses that run in one direction. Once you have done one direction, you then flip and turn around the stencil and place it so it's going in the other direction, and then it makes the little cross kind of shape, and you'll see it much better now that I've turned it around and added ink onto the other side. This particular stencil is fantastic. It really adds some different textures behind the thin cut, and it really is so pretty. That is the thin cut right there that I'm showing, and that is what comes out. It does have a tiny stitched border around it, and I'm just trimming that off, so going along the little stitching line and making this just a couple of mil smaller so that it'll have a little bit of blue border around the outside edge. I have a little look and fit that on and decide that my edges need to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to come back in with some ink and my blending tool and just add a second layer of ink just around those edges to give it a slightly darker border. Again, all this could be done with cardstock, but I am doing it with the ink on there. I'm adding the glue to the back of that thin cut piece, and I'm going to attach that over the top of the stenciled cardstock. In a moment you'll see me bring in an old acrylic block, and I'm going to sit that on top of that piece so that as that glue dries, it dries nice and flat, and it's not bowed as much when I go to put it on a card front. And you'll see me bring that in and then I do actually move it off to the top of my workspace so that it's not in the way. Next we're going to trim that sentiment down to size. So I'm just using the ruler and tearing along the edge there. I'm going to do that on the side I already have and the two ends as well, and this just gives it a little bit more of a distressed feel to that vellum. It's not overly noticeable, but it's not that, you know, trimmed down perfect look. Then I am bringing in the card front just to have a little look at how much room I have for my other embellishment, which is going to be one of the dragonflies. And I'm just going to pop that on there and decide that it's dry enough now to adhere, and I'm going to adhere that to the card front. There is a little bit of white leftover cardstock there, so I am going to grab my scissors and trim that off and make that nice and neat. Don't you hate it when you don't get quite that close? I have to go in a second time and do an extra little trim along there. Okay, so that is the majority of the base of it done. So we're going to stamp our dragonflies now and colour those in, and this is so simple. There are 3 dragonflies in the set, and each dragonfly has a stencil that is matching to it, and it will help us to colour it in so quick and easy. So if you're somebody that doesn't like to do a lot of colouring in, you will absolutely adore these stencils and how they work. I've just stamped that. I wasn't happy with the first stamping, so I've gone in and done a second one. And then we're going to die cut that out. And with the magic of my YouTube and editing, you will see me disappear and pop back within seconds. I'm just popping a little bit of tape on the back of that dragonfly, so when I bring in my stencil, it's not going to move around too much. So you see me pop that stencil over the top of the dragonfly, and I'm going to come in with one colour and blend over the top. The stencil is cut so that it matches the outside black border, inked border of the stamp, and it leaves a white border around the dragonfly, so it really does look like you've hand coloured it in or used mark or such to colour that in. You can see there I'm doing a darker on the inside and a little bit lighter on the outside, and there is that beautiful coloured. How easy and quick. I'm so in love with these dragonflies. Now that I have got that one coloured, I'm going to adhere that and the sentiment to the card, and so quick and easy. Oh, I'm going to take a moment to clean up, which is unlike me. I seem to be leaving a mess and a hurricane behind me nowadays. So I'm checking where I want those and adding the vellum, and I'm just using a little bit of tape on that, and surprisingly you cannot see that tape very much at all behind that vellum sentiment, which is a lovely surprise to me. I'm also bringing in some magic mount, and I'm going to put a little bit of magic mount on the outside part of the wing, and there's a little bit of tape on the center of the dragonfly's wings, and that will mean that the wings will sit up a little bit from the body on the card. I'm going to place that down, and you can see there I'm pressing hard in the middle to get the tape to adhere in the center, and the wings on the outside. Now I'm going to come in with the clear shimmer brush and just add a little bit, and I do have a little bit of an oopsie here. It wouldn't be one of my designs without a little bit of oopsie, but I put a little bit too much of the shimmer on here and it is quite thick. I decided to stop and dab a little bit off and then bring my heat gun in to dry it a little bit. And then I've got way more shimmer on one side of it than the other, and I solidly should have just left it right at this point right here, but I went back in to try it, even up the shimmer a little bit, and just made it a little bit worse. It's so typical me. So the dragonfly has enough shimmer on it to last it 2 lifetimes. And guys, that is the card for today. I hope you enjoyed the dragonfly card and are enjoying this series. I thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, watching, and sticking with me throughout this. Have a lovely day, guys. I will see you soon. Bye.